Hello, scholars, and welcome to Homework with Mr. Ray. So, over the break, you were given two different assessments. Um, this part means no calculator. So, you are to use no calculator. And the next part, you'll be able to use a calculator. So, let's get through it. Miss Frazier asks his students to find the greatest common factor of 24 and 36. Which answer is correct? So first you got to find what the greatest common factor of 24 and 36 is. So I like to do a factor house of 24 and a factor house of 36. 1 times 24 is 24. 2 times 12 is 24. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 6 is 24. And because it repeats, at 6, you just close it. 1 times 36 is 36. 2 times 18 is 36. 3 times 12 is 36. 4 times 9 is 36. And 6 times 6 is 36. Since it repeats, we close it. Then you want to circle all of the common factors. So 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 6, 6. 8 isn't a common factor. 9 isn't a common factor. 12 and 12. And then you want to put a star on the greatest common factor, which is the biggest number shared between the two, which is 12. Thus, C is your answer. Okay. What is 164 and 4/10 divided by 2 and 4/10? So we know we're dividing 164 and 4/10 divided by 2 and 4/10. Then you want to write it in standard algorithm. 164 and 4/10 goes under the house. 2 and 4/10 goes outside of the house. This is your divisor. And your divisor must be written as a whole number. So then you want to rewrite it at 164 and 4/10 divided by 2 and 4/10. Your divisor needs to be whole. In order to turn that whole, you have to multiply it by 10, and what you do on the bottom, you do on the top. So now you have to rewrite your division expression, because when you multiply by 10, it just moves over 1 power of 10. Okay, so now, now that is rewritten, now you have 1,644 divided by 24. What I always do is I list my multiples. 1 over 24 is 24. 2 is 24 times 2, which is 48. 3, which is 24 times 3. 5, 24 times 5. 6, 24 times 6. 7, 8, and 9. Right. 16. Writing your multiples really helps you put everything together. So It's this divided by this, cover up, back up, got enough, no. Back up, got enough, no. Back up, got enough, yes. Give the man a seat, count by 24, don't pass up 164. The closest is, well, 7 groups would be too high because that's 168. So it would have to be 6 groups. 6 times 24 is 144. Hook your line, subtract. 4 minus 4 is 0. 6 minus 4 is 2. After you subtract, you pull down a shade. Then you count by 24. Don't pass up 204. 9 would be an option, but that's too big. So you got to go to 8. And that's 192. Hook your line, subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. 0 minus 9, you can't. So you got to get 10. Right? There's your remainder. However, we don't have a remainder, so you put a decimal point and a 0, and you bring that down, and 4 goes into 125 times. Make sure you raise that decimal point up. So the answer is 68 and 5/10. Hey, Kelly is reading a book with 12 chapters. The number of pages in each chapter is listed below. Okay, so clearly you have these numbers. They're not in order. And we got to see which histogram displays the data. So basically what a histogram is showing you is that in this range of numbers, based on this is showing the chapter. So for example, let's say between 0 and 9, there was only 1 9. That means the number of chapters, there's only one chapter with a page between 0 and 9. So when you're trying to figure this out, the first thing you want to do is you want to list your range of numbers, right? So 0 and 9, 10 and 19, 20 and 29, right? So that's what you have, right? So now you want to look at the pages to see like how many do you have of 0 and 9? So 0 and 9, that's 1. Anything else between 0 and 9? No, so there's only 1. You see that? Now you can go to your histogram and check off some things that don't have it. Well, based on this information, there's one chapter between 0 and 9. So there needs to be something filled out here. There's nothing filled out here, so it can't be that. And it can't be D. So yeah, that helps you use process of elimination between A and B. Now between 10 and 19. Now you gotta look at numbers between 10 and 19. 19 is between 10 and 19, so that's 1. 13 is between 10 and 19, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 chapters between 10 and 19. So you want to go all the way up to 7. Well, this one, 10, 19, this has 5, so it can't be that. This one has 9, so it can't be that. So your answer is B. But if you want to double check between 20 and 29, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, and that's correct because between 20 and 29, there are 4 chapters. So the answer is B. Um, what is the quotient of 4,453 divided by 7? Well, you have to divide. It's divided by this. Cover up, back up, got enough? No. Back up, got enough? Yes. Give the man a seat, count by 7, don't pass up 44. That is 6. 6 times 7 is 42. Hook your line, subtract 2. pull down your shade. 7 goes into 25 3 times at 21. Hook your line, subtract, that's a 4, pull down at 3. 7 goes into 43 6 times at 42 with the remainder of 1. Because it's showing remainders, clearly we don't need to look for decimals. So the answer is 636, remainder 1. Okay. Okay. Andy, Fergus, Evelyn, and Margaret are collecting cans for recycling. Before lunch, they collected a total of 173 cans. At the end of the day, the total numbers of cans collected can be represented by the expression 173 plus n. As you know, n would be after lunch. Okay. You know that Margaret collected some cans in the afternoon. What could the variable n in the expression represent? Select all, which means more than one answer. So I know that n would have to represent something with Margaret, and I also know that Margaret collected some cans. Some cans means not all, right? So n can represent the combined number of cans all 4 students collected in the afternoon. I would say that that is correct because even if they collected 0 and some collected 20 and some collected 5 and some collected 6, we know that Margaret is a part of it and 0 is a number as well. It's just collected, right? The combined number of cans Andy and Margaret collected in the afternoon. There's a possibility that it could represent Andy and Margaret as long as Margaret is in it because we know for a fact that Margaret collected it. The combined number of cans Andy, Fergus. Well, that is incorrect because we know that Margaret collected some. The number of cans Margaret collected in the afternoon. Well, that wouldn't be true either because Margaret collected some. The number of cans Evelyn, that wouldn't be true either because we know Margaret collected some. The combined number of cans Margaret and Evelyn collected in the afternoon, that could be true too because we know that Margaret collected some. So the answer is A, B, and F. A map of Seascape Forest shows the elevation of areas and parks. So an elevation, you know, let's say that this is 0, right? The ranger station is at -21. Let's say this is -10, this is -20. So the ranger station is somewhere here. And the visitor station is somewhere here. Okay. Which statement is true? All right. So let's go ahead and compare this. We know that -21 is greater than -29 because -21 is at a higher elevation, right? We also know that -29 is less than -21 because -29 is at a lower elevation. So this is saying since -29 is less than -21, the ranger station is at a higher elevation than the visitor station. Yes, that is a higher, so that is correct. This one is saying -29 is greater than. It is not. You see, -21 is less than. Since negative 29 is less than 21, the visitor station is at a higher elevation. This is incorrect because the visitor station is at a lower elevation. As you can see, negative 29 is lower, right? Negative 29 is lower than negative 21. And here it says negative 29 is higher, so we know that it's incorrect. The map also shows the elevation of a picnic shelter as negative 24 feet. Okay, so negative 24 feet is somewhere here. The picnic. You see why drawing it really helps you see it? It's about negative 24. Okay, so here's the connecting negative 24. So negative 24 is less than negative 21, yeah? But the picnic shelter is not at a higher elevation. See, the picnic shelter is here. A higher elevation will be negative 21. So that is incorrect. Negative 21 is greater than negative 21. That is incorrect because negative 21, negative 24 is less than. This says negative 24 is less than negative 29. The picnic shelter is at a higher elevation than the visitor center. That is true because negative 24 is at a higher elevation than negative 29. 24 is greater than negative 29. The picnic shelter is at a higher elevation. Oh, this is why you gotta double check your work. This says negative 24 is less than negative 29. That is incorrect. Negative 24 is higher than negative 29. So it's this one. Because the picnic shelter, which at negative 24, is at a higher elevation than negative 29. Yep, got it. A survey conducted at a local pet store included a section about dogs. Which of the questions is a statistical question? Now, to start off, a statistical question has something to do with you have to count for data, right? For a statistical question, right? Um, it's not information that you always have a yes to, right? For example, like how many ears does a person have? Well, two. That's not a statistical question because it doesn't change. How many legs does an animal have? Well, four. Like that doesn't change, right? But if you're like saying like how many animals uh walk on twos as opposed to walk on fours, like you have to count to see that, right? So like how many legs does a dog have? That's four. It's always four, so there's never going to be it. How many dogs do you own? Um, also let's also look at this. A survey, right? It's a survey, which means that you're asking people, right? Asking different people, right? Is a veterinarian a doctor for dogs? Yes, right? Is a kennel shelter for dogs? Yes, right? But in asking how many dogs do you own, if I ask five different people, there is a chance that I will have different answers. So some people would say two, some people would say one, some people would say zero, some people would say one, some people would say three. You get what I'm saying? And because of that, I can compile this data and helping me when talking about dogs. So that's why B is correct. So standardized tests can be very difficult sometimes because sometimes we read things and we just automatically assume that that's the answer, right? On a number line, point A is located opposite. This is why annotations are very important, because opposite of a negative is a positive, right? So opposite of -7.4. What is the location of point A? So opposite of -7.4 is positive 7.4. Now let's look at it. Okay. What is 1476 divided by 12? Okay, it's this divided by this, cover up, back up, got enough, no, back up, got enough, yes, give the man a seat. That's 1 times 14, 1 times 12 is 12, 27, that's a 2. One, two, three. Knowing your facts can really help you get through this quicker, right? Which statement about data, right, provides the most information about the variability of the data? So variability means more numbers to provide more information, right? So like if I'm calculating the mean, that's just one number, the average. If I'm calculating the median, that's one number, that is the middle, right? If I'm calculating the range, and the range is 18, that means from this point to this point represents 18. So the range could be between 1 and 18, or 2 and 19, or 10 and 28. So it's telling you there's a multiple range of information. The maximum data set is this, is the biggest number. So I think the most variability of it is the range, right? Because the range tells you this. It tells you more information. Okay. Consider numbers 58 and 3/10 and 12 and 8/10. What is the sum of the two numbers? Annotations are very important. We know sum is to add. So I'm adding 58 and 3/10 with 12 and 800. That's a placeholder. Do you see why lining these up, right? 58 is the 5 is in a tens place. The 1 is in a tens place. So like the 5 and the 1 has to line up, right? But this 8 is in the hundreds. This 3 is in the tens place. So there needs to be a placeholder, right? And you're adding. So 0 plus 8 is 8. 3 plus 0 is 3. Decimal point. 8 plus 2 is 10. Carry the 1, bring down to 0. 5, 6, 7. 70 and 38 hundredths. Boom. What is the difference? Difference is subtract. So I'm subtracting 58 and 3/10 from 12 and 800. Placeholder 0 cannot subtract 8, but 3 can subtract 0. So that 3 becomes a 2, and that 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 2 minus 0 is 2. 8 minus 2 is 6, and 5 minus 1 is 4. 46.22 and 46 and 22 hundredths. Katie had lunch with two friends, so it's 3 people. The bill for their lunch is $29.46. They want to leave a tip of $5.25 and then divide the total equally. So in total is 3 people. So you have 29 and 46 cents plus the tip, 5.25. Then you want to divide that by 3. So first, let me add 29 and 46 cents plus $5.25. 11. Okay, so you have $34.71, but then you got to divide it by 3. Three goes into 3 one time. 3 goes into 4 one time. 3 goes into 17 5 times. 3 goes into 21 7 times. $11.57 is your answer. Okay. A painter charges $20 for every hour. So 20 per hour. Whenever you're doing something where it says per hour, let that per represent a variable, right? But here it says let H equals the number of hours. So that X is a H, right? So basically it's saying 20 per hour means 20 in 1 hour equals 20 in 2 hours. When you substituted the H for 2, it makes you mean $40. So you're looking for something, mark all that apply. Now you got to ask yourself, is there another way to determine it? E, so the total, E equals 28. If I want to isolate the variable or isolate a side, so here, the only options I have where it's isolated is E equals 28. But here, they isolated the H. So to isolate the H, you gotta divide by H on both sides. So E divided by H equals 20. E equals 20 times H. Hours could not be that. 20 is hours plus the total. No. 20 is hours times the total. No. So it's either A or E. Okay. I was a little confused on this, but then I just like, that's why sometimes it's really good to visually write down what you have. So Edgar divided a 5-digit number by a 2-digit number. So something is being divided. 5-digit number is divided by a 2-digit number. There was no remainder, okay? What is the least possible quotient of the two numbers? In order to find the least possible quotient of a number, right, you probably should have the lowest number, right? So you got to ask yourself, like, what is the least possible number of a 2-digit number? 2 digits start at, first you got to say, like, what does the number, a 2-digit number starts at 10 and it ends at 99. What's the smallest 2-digit number? 10. A 5-digit number, the smallest 5-digit number would be, it's like a 10,000, right? It starts at 10,000 and it ends at 99,000. So 10,000. Is there a number, is there a 5-digit number smaller than 10,000? No. Is there a number smaller than 10? No. So 10 goes into 10 one time. 0, 0, and as you know, it's 0. So the least possible answer would be 1,000. Please forgive the sniffles. I'm not really feeling good. I'm so sorry, but I still have to get this done. This is kind of fun. So the rectangle shown below has an area of 4x times plus 3, 4 groups of x plus 3 square units. Got it. Use the distributive property to write an equivalent expression. Well, 4 groups of x plus 3. When you're distributing, you distribute the 4 into the x, and you distribute the 4 into the 3, which will make it 4x plus, when you distribute, it's multiplied. So 4 is multiplied by 3, which is 12. We got 4x plus 12 units squared. If both the dimensions of the original rectangle are double, what is the area of the new rectangle? So if this is double, that means like that times 2. And if this is double, it's times 2. What is the area of the new rectangle in terms of x? So if you have 4 groups of x plus 3 times 2, 4 times x is 4x plus 12. There's 2 groups of 4x plus 12, which would be 8x plus 24, right? Yeah, 8x plus 24. Because the area is 4x plus 3, and you double it, it's 8x. Well, 4x plus 12, and you double it, that'll be 8x plus 24. Yeah. What is the ratio of the area of the new larger rectangle from part B to the area of the original if the value of x is 7? Well, first we need to solve, right? So the original is 4, 7 plus 3. Parentheses comes first. So 4 times 10, that's 40. And then 8 x plus 12. 7 times 12 is, oh no, sorry, did that wrong. 8x plus 24. 8 times 7 is 56 plus 24. 80. I guess that would be 1/2. 1 to 2. Oh, but this says what is the ratio of the new rectangle? So it's 80 to 40. The greatest common factor is 40. It'll be 2 to 1. If the dimension of the original rectangle are half, so like 2x plus 3, right? Like 2 groups of x plus 3. That's making it half. Uh, That'll be 20. What the ratio of the area of a new rectangle to the original rectangle? If the new rectangle is 80 and the original is 20, 20 goes into 21 times, 20 goes into 84 times. So it'll be 4-1. The thing to remember is that with ratio, it tells you, it said the new larger rectangle to the original. So like the big to the small, right? The new rectangle to the original. So like make sure your ratio is correct because some people will say 1-2, but it's not 1-2, it's 2-1 and 4-1. Oh, and that's it for this section 1. All right. So good luck and talk to you later.